Tonight, we're going to be using the Layers of Beauty and making a nice card. So let's go ahead and get this up and see what we can see here. See who's on. Okay. Let's see if I can find myself. Okay. Why is it? There we go. Okay, maybe now we can get it up. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Hello, hello. All right, we're going to wait a minute or two to see who can pop on, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, I will remind you that Stampin' Up! Has a stamp and die bundle sale going right now. Ordinarily, when you buy a bundle, you save 10% over the individual piece price. But this month, between now and the end of June, you will save an additional 10% off of that bundle price. So that is the first time I think that Stampin' Up! Has done that, at least that I can remember. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this bundle. This is a unique bundle because usually it's stamps and dies or stamps and a punch. But this particular bundle is stamps, dies, and decorative masks to color your images quickly and easily. So we're going to be using these tonight. We're going to use the largest image that's in this stamp set, which is this one here. This is not shown at full size on the stamp case. It's shown at 85%. This image is actually much larger. And we're going to make a card with this tonight. So, hello, Tracy. Let's see. For some reason, it's not letting me see much. Yes, for the bundle sale. Yeah, I don't know why this is not working quite right. I might need, well, we're going to have to just play with it. And hopefully I'll get the, oh, maybe I need to, there we go. Okay, I had to move it down a bit so I could see the chat. There we go. So I can see the comments coming in. Thank you for joining me. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And I did a little bit of the pre-work in that I've already cut out one of the single roses. I stamped it in basic gray and I cut it out. And we're going to be coloring that at the same time we do our large image. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a card base of Blackberry Bliss, and this is 5.5 by 8.5. And it's scored in the middle at 4.25 inches. Let's get a hold of that really well. For some reason, I have a hard time with the Blackberry Bliss cardstock not wanting to fold. So we'll give that a good burnish. This is a little bit thicker cardstock because of the color. And then we've got a piece of basic white, and this is 4 by 5.25. And I've got a piece of Pretty in Pink that is just an 1/8 inch bigger, so it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We're going to add that to our Pretty in Pink layer, but not at the moment. And then on the inside of the card, we've got a piece that is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And I've gone ahead and stamped these small images from the stamp set with those for the inside piece. Okay, so we're going to set all of those aside, and we're going to stamp our focal image here. So let's get these out of the way. And this image is so large it fits on an F block, but I have an extremely difficult time with the F block. So I'm going to use my stamp positioning tool simply because I find it difficult with this size to hang on to that large of a block. So I'm just going to put that in there how I think I want it. And I'm going to close that. And then I'm going to take some basic gray ink and I'm going to ink that up. Now you could use Memento Tuxedo Black, but I like the basic gray. It softens the image just a bit. So we're going to place that in the corner and we're going to go ahead and stamp that down and give it a good, hello, Cynthia. So kind of you to join me. Okay. All right, and we've got that beautiful image. Okay, we're going to set that aside. Now, if you watched my video over on Facebook on Tuesday Live or the replay yesterday on YouTube, you will have seen me make a mask to help color in the single rose. So we're going to pull that mask back in tonight, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to do these simultaneously. Okay, we've got that down there. And let's tape this down just so those don't move. I'm going to bring in my masks. And I'm going to show you how quickly and easily you can do this. Now, of course, I thought I had these all in order, so hopefully that is the case. All right, so we're going to start with mask number 1, and that is numbered on the mask itself. And then here's a register mark. I'm not going to use that because I'm not writing on my glass mat, but you could use that on a piece of paper and trace around it. It won't be absolutely perfect with each mask, but it will be close enough, and you'll just have to wiggle it into place. I'm going to tape this one down. Okay, and then we're going to start with our colors, and we are using, I didn't pull my garden green for some reason. Okay, so this is our color palette. We're using Garden Green, Blackberry Bliss, Daffodil Delight, and Bubble Bath. I'm going to start with the Bubble Bath. And with my glass mat, I'm going to have to put this up probably where you can't see it, because I have a lot of, so I'm putting ink directly on my glass mat above my project so that I don't get ink. If I put it right here where you can see it, I'm afraid I'll get ink. So then I'm going to take my blending brush. I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm going to grab up some of that ink. I'm also going to put this in here. And hang on just a minute. I don't want to fight this, so I'm going to put just a little bit of temporary adhesive just to hold that in there, just so it doesn't move on me. Okay, then we're going to take our bubble bath, and I'm going to color these large roses, the 3 of them. I'm being careful not to get these. And you can mask those off with a Post-it note, but I didn't find it necessary if I was just careful. And if I get a little bit of pink on it, it's not the end of the world. Well, that wasn't nearly enough ink. So let's try it again. I'm going to put this where you guys can actually see it. And I'm going to use a clear block. Normally, I would just throw that on my glass mat. I am going to rub it off on my glass mat, though. Okay. So now I've got those, and I want to get these 3 little buds here and these 2 little buds over here. But I'm leaving all of these because I want white daisies with yellow centers. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for, no, I'm not. I'm going to move this. I'm going to move my mask. And I'm going to line this up. And if you watched my video on Tuesday, I look for the little flower centers that are here, 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 and here. And once I get those fairly well lined up, then I'll look to make sure that this is all good. I'm going to tape that down real quick. I'm going to go back to that block and grab up some of that ink. And I'm going to ink up this image right here. Okay. And then I'm going to lift this off. I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to grab number 2 here. And I'm going to look for those flower centers again. And make sure everything else is lined up correctly. Once I get that all slid in how I like it. Now you could hold this down, and I am still holding it pretty tight so it doesn't move. Again, I'm going to use the bubble bath a second time. This time I'm going to go over the top again and get it just a little bit darker to give a little bit more shading. I'm going to hit those 2 little buds up there, these 3 little buds here. And my tape is not holding all that great, so I need to hold this just a little bit tighter. Okay, and I think that should be good. Yep, look how pretty that is. And then we're going to take and move this one right over here to do the single rows. Again, looking for those flower centers and lining them up. And then making sure that my rose here looks good. And I'm looking for this register mark right here along the little rose over here. And if that lines up with this piece, then I'm good. So I've got it into place. Bubble bath is a fairly light ink, so it takes a little bit to get that intensity of color that you want. And now we're just gonna do this single rose over here. And there we are. Okay, so we've got those done. Now let's go to number 3. And this is just going to put a little more depth here. This time we're going to switch our color to Blackberry Bliss. So I'm going to line that up. I'm going to move that block out of the way so I don't put my fingers in it. This one won't take that much. I'm just going to put a little bit of Blackberry Bliss right there. And then I'm going to grab my Blackberry Bliss brush and give that a little intensity there. Making sure that I miss the centers of those flowers because I want my flower centers to be yellow. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's take a look at that and see how that looks. See if we're happy with that. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. Okay, now let's go ahead and bring this over here and line it up for the single rose. Slide those right into place. Okay. Looking like it needs a little bit of help there. I think we're good now. Let's grab a little bit of that Blackberry Bliss. Move that just a tiny little bit. And then we'll put that on. Okay. And there you have it. Okay. So there is the roses. Now let's move to the leaves. And in order to do that, I'm going to clean up this Blackberry Bliss pretty quickly. I'm just going to use a baby wipe and get that off. And then I'm going to dry it. Okay. And this is a cloth. When you get the Glass Mat Studio, it comes with this. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's move to our leaves. And this is number 4. And remember, I want my register at the top. So I'm going to take number 4. And I'm going to slide this in. And I find the easiest way for number 4 is to line up these 3 large leaves and then try to slide everything else into place. Okay, once I get those lined up, then I'll slide the rest of them. This is not quite lined up here, so I need to keep moving a little bit. There we go. Just slid it over. And now we're looking pretty good. I can see the outline of all of my leaves. So I'm going to line that up. And now I'm going to switch to Garden Green. And again, I'm just going to put that right there. I think we'll be fine. I just have to be careful. Okay, so we're going to put some of that on. Now I want to do this layer a little bit on the light side, so I'm not going to press very hard. I'm just going to lightly go over that, making sure that I hit all of those areas. I'm going to start on the mask so that I don't get any harsh lines to begin with. I'm just going to keep moving that along until I get all of my leaves with a little bit of green on them. Okay, and that looks good to me. So we're going to lift that up. And I'm going to move that right over to the single one. And on this one, I don't need to be nearly as careful lining it up because once I get those 3 leaves in the in view, I'm good to go. It doesn't really matter if I hit the rest of them perfect because these are the only 3 leaves I'm worried about. Okay, so I've got that. And we're almost done with these images. So we're going to take the final mask, which is number 5 here, And we're going to throw that into place, line that up. These line up fairly easily. Once you get them in, looking for these little knobs to make sure they're in the right spot. And that's these ones right here. I need to make sure that I get a little bit of green on there. Move that in. Let's see. Pretty close. Oh, there we go. I think we have it. There we go. Now, what did I do with those? Okay. Oh, I left them on the other one. That's okay. I'm going to grab 2 new ones because I've got this in place and I don't want it to move. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to come in here again with my garden green. And now I'm just going to darken these up. Just blend that in. You do not have to have the same intensity everywhere. In fact, if you don't, your leaves will look a little more realistic. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and pick that up. That looks pretty good. And let's bring it back over to these 3. Put that in. Line that up fairly decently. I'm going to need a little bit more garden green. All right. Almost done with this part. Then we'll just put a little more darkness there. All right. And we should be good. There we go. There's all of our images. Now let's go ahead and wipe that ink off before I have a ink catastrophe. Okay. Dry that really well now. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do here on this is I want to get my dark lemon lolly. I could have done this with the blending brush, but I'm not going to. It's easier for me if I just take the dark lemon lolly, Stampin' Blend, and color those in. Okay? All right, so there's my images. I got a little bit of green on there where I didn't want it. Darn it. I'll have to see if I can get that off with a sand eraser. Okay, we're done with this mask. I'll save this mask for another time. And there is my single rose. Okay, now let's see. What, oh, you know what? That's not going to matter because that's exactly where I'm going to put my sentiment, and it's going to be covered up and it won't matter at all. Okay, awesome. So we've got this and we have this. Now let's go ahead and bring back our pieces. Let's put these masks to the side so I don't get ink everywhere. And we're going to bring back in those layers that we need. Okay, so we're going to start with our pretty in pink. And this is a tiny little layer. So I'm going to use some liquid glue. I'm going to hope this doesn't run way out fast, because I just want little dots of the liquid glue. If you put too much liquid glue on basic white, it will show through. So you want to be careful about that. Okay, so we're just going to put this on, and then we can slide this into place. Okay, and That looks pretty good. I'm going to turn that over just because if I have any ink, I don't want it on the front. Let's get it on the back. So we're going to add this to our card. And then we're going to take some more liquid glue, add it to our image here. And then we're going to add this to our card base. Like so. Okay, got that in, looks good. Burnish that down. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Go ahead and give that an extra little crease along the spine there. And then I'm going to take this piece here. And before I do, well, I want that to dry a little bit more. So let's go ahead and let's pop that up. But rather than popping it up with dimensionals, I'm going to pop it up with, I've cut 2 extra. This won't be quite as thick as a dimensional. And because I've already got that 3 layers of cardstock, I want to keep this a little bit less thick, but still give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to use my liquid glue. I'm going to take one of those blank single rose pieces that I've die cut with the layers of beauty dies. I'll line that all up, squish it together, repeat. Okay. Whoops. And then this will give it dimension without adding too much bulk. And I find it easier to do with liquid glue so that you have time to slide everything in, line it up before you give it a good full pinch. I'll hold on to it tight, burnish those layers down. Okay. All right, now I'm going to add this right here. So that'll give this flower the appearance that it's in front because it's higher. So again, I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue. I'm going to add this in right over the top of that one, making sure that I cover it fully. And then I'm going to take a black and give that a good press. Just to make sure that the glues catch each other. And then we're going to set this aside and do our sentiment. And it looks like I did not grab, I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. Hang on, I need a little piece of petal pink scrap here. I don't need much, so we're going to take this piece right here. And we're going to take the sentiment Grateful for You from the stamp set. And I thought I had it out, but apparently I put it away. That's too efficient. Okay, so we've got Grateful for You. I'm going to put that on a block. I like to lay mine down, find a straight line, and then take the block to the stamp. Okay, so with this one, we're going to, you know what, we're not doing that. Hang on, I'm not using that block. I want this to be nice and dark. So I'm actually going to bring in a stamp positioner tool so that I can double stamp this and get it dark enough. So I'm just going to put this down here in the corner. I'm going to put the grateful for you here right in the center. And I'm going to close my lid. Ink up my stamp. I didn't ink it well. Okay. A nice even coat usually helps to get a good image. Okay, now I could stop there. That looks pretty good. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a second coat, just so I've got some nice dark color. And that is a whole lot nicer. Okay, so let's clean that stamp off real quick. Blackberry Bliss stains your stamps pretty quickly. Okay, now let's bring in our die cut. Okay, get rid of those out of the way. Bring in our die cut. We're going to use Unbounded Love. You guys, I think I used this particular die more than anything else so far. So I'm going to make sure my fingers are clean first because I don't want ink all over everything. And then this doesn't fit and it's fine. I'm going to move this clear over here because I'm going to alter the size of this die. It was too big for what I wanted, but I couldn't find anything that was just right. So I'm going to make it just right. So I'm just going to lay that on there. We're going to bring in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to put this on my plates and cut this out. I'm not sure I've used this die actually the full size yet. I seem to keep altering it to fit my sentiments. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm going to lift this off. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this right back down, but I'm going to run it. There's a track, and I'm going to run it right in that track. You'll feel it because these have indentations on the sides. And now that I've got that positioned, I can put that back on my plate. Now I don't need to cut the whole thing, so I'm just going to put my plate where I need to cut, which is not there. I need to cut this end. So I only need to cut a little bit. So I'm going to position this in, run that down. I don't need it to cut the rest of this, so I'm going to put my top plate over where I want it to stop cutting. And then when I pull this off, I have the die with an altered size that fits my sentiment perfectly. Okay? And I don't know if you can tell those little ridges that help you if you just lay that die in that track. Okay, so this is our piece now. And we're going to go ahead and put this over here. And I'm going to cover up my little boo-boos, and only you and I will know that I had it. Right? So I've got to get that actually. I want to position that a little bit under. Hang on. I want it to slide a little bit under here. So I'm going to lift that up. I don't have any glue right there at the edge, which is good. So I'm just going to put this down flat. And then I'm going to slide it under there to make sure that I cover my mistake. And only you and I will know. Okay, so we'll just straighten that up as best we can. There we go. All right, so we've got that. Now we're going to take a little bit of Wink Stella. Oh, Tracy, I'm glad you love those roses. I love this. This set is so pretty and so easy to get such pretty images, such pretty color to make the roses so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to start with just the lightest on the Wink of Stella because I don't want to smear that Blackberry Bliss into my lighter. So I'm going to do up the light first. This is alcohol ink, and because it's wet, it will smear if you're not careful. Okay, so I've got that. And I've got the lighter parts now. And then I'll go back and hit those darker parts. Being very careful not to drag that darker ink into the lighter. Not that it would make a big deal if I did, but I'm trying to preserve the intensity of the color and still get the Wink of Stella on there. Okay, so there we have it. Now let's go ahead. We're going to add a little bit of, we're going to put some iridescent pearls on here. And I'm going to put them on my flower centers, but I want my flower centers to be yellow. So I'm going to bring in my dark lemon lolly, Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to color 2 smaller and 1 larger. Whoops, that one decided it wanted to move. Hang on, press it back down there so I can finish coloring him up. Make sure I get that, and then I'm going to get this one right here. And because these are alcohol markers, they'll dry quickly and stay. Okay, so let's get our Take Your Pick tool, which is hiding behind my water bottle. And we're going to I'm going to take this large one here, and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to take a smaller one and put it right here, and another smaller one and put it up there. Okay. And then if I had the cap on my Take Your Pick tool, which seems to have run away, I would press that down, but I don't, so I'm going to use the end of my Wink of Stella just to make sure that that glue dot adheres to the front. And there is the front of our card. Okay, so then for the inside, we're going to take this piece that we pre-done. This is light lemon lolly and light granny apple green Stampin' Blend markers that I use to color those images. And I'm going to put this on the inside. And then we've got our matching envelope. And there you have the layers of beauty. Grateful for you. All right. I hope you love that. There will be one more sample tomorrow morning in the social group on Facebook that's associated with my K&T Designs by Teresa business page to give you another example of how to use this set. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, then go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I go live. I would appreciate it. It helps my channel grow. And I will be back next Thursday here on YouTube with another project. Thanks so much. Good night.